He's gonna take one. No.
I'm good. All right, I'd like to call the government ops meeting to order if we could. I'm covering Elaine Daly for Brian Muldrow, can't be here today, so I'll chair the meeting. Here at the meeting is Legislator Nightingale and Legislator Strong. Hans Petcher has also asked to be excused. So could we start with approval of the minutes of January 15th?
Second, Mark.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. I don't know, we did get a report from Board of Elections. Had sent something in a little bit late. I don't know if either of them are on.
Yes, I'm on, Elaine.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, does anyone have any questions for?
Chantel.
Oh, my God, I didn't recognize you, Chantel. I'm so-
I went gray.
Yeah, it was the gray, totally. I mean, it's lovely.
Thank you.
Any questions for Chantel?
Well, I do have a question.
Okay.
Madam Chair. Chantel, I know, there was some, excuse me, some paperwork sent out about, I guess I want to say the pay scale or whatever for yourself and Mr. Batman and some other folks. And there's a couple, 3, 4 emails. I think I found them saved on my computer. Where are we at with all that nonsense?
Honestly, Mark, I'm not really sure. Keith has been on vacation. He just got back last night. and he was handling that with Mr. Anna. So I really can't tell you. I know that for our our two part-timers and our two deputies, they did not get their raise, and they were working on putting a resolution through to give them their raise, retroactive back to the first.
Well, the way I understand the paperwork was that Mr. Batman said that he submitted it. Somebody else said, no, you didn't submit it, and there was a bunch of back and forth.
Martha, can you clarify what you're talking about, what you're asking her? Is this for the
BOE,
Board of Election, two commissioners changing their salary, or the people that work for them?
I think it was.
The two commissioners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding of that is there was some confusion about the salary that was put into the 2025 budget. There was an original request for the commissioner's salary to move from 27, whatever it is, to 35. Whether it was in or out, I can't even get through that anymore.
Well, that's my
But-
question.
but-
Where do we stand with that?
But my understanding is there's the part-time line in the Board of Commission, or the Board of Elections. Part-time line has like $294,000 in it. That certainly would be, from what I understand, able to cover the increase from 27 to 35. If we were going to do that, which is kind of the legislator's decision, if we were going to do that on the advice of Fred Westfall, because we appointed the two commissioners in November with no salary listed, we would, in Fred's mind, need to set a local law next month, set the time and date of a local law, and reestablish those appointments with a salary included in it. So if the budget, the Board of Elections budget can cover the $35,000 to salaries, and the legislature moves that forward, set a public hearing, approve that, then it can get done. We have the ability then to even set this out for their whole 4-year term. I was telling some people, I've never experienced commissioners or anyone being appointed with no listed salary. So, but that did happen in November. So yeah, the salary that they had just carried forward.
Okay.
So it really is our decision if we want to support or consider making a recommendation to have, to move that forward to get that salary established.
Well, I guess as far as for myself for tonight, I want to make sure that this isn't just something that's got sloughed off to the side.
Yep.
Or somebody's doing something about it,
Yep.
and we're going to have some sort of decision either next month or.
Next month, if there's interest to relook at that salary and reestablish it and include it in their resolution, we certainly could do it. My understanding is their budget would certainly be able to accommodate it.
Thank you, Elaine. Yeah, Mark, that's exactly, I know Keith had spoke to Elaine about it specifically, and you explained exactly how I should have explained it. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you, Elaine.
Yep. Okay, now that we put you on the spot, I have one question. Keith put in his report, at this point, with an anticipated limited number of primaries and given the low turnout for local petitions, we're unlikely to incur the cost of a countywide site at the mall. However, you're still thinking about it. What, do you have a sense of why you're still thinking about?
I believe because he's waiting to see, we need to get the petitions back to find out if we're even going to need to have a primary.
Okay, so you may
We're
not
hoping
even,
we don't have to have a countywide primary.
okay, and if not, that would make even less sense to have a countywide
Exactly.
site. Okay,
Right.
all right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Chantel? No? Okay, thank you. Sheila, you're on? Maybe?
Nope, I
Nope.
don't see her up there.
Okay. County Attorney Fred Westfall is not here, but You are?
Well, we got the other stand in.
Yep,
Yeah, right. No, we don't have them recorded.
okay.
Quick.
Our clerk?
What was that?
I said, this is going quick.
Yes. Brian? Yes.
How are you? So, again, I was able to get reports to you on the short time frame as our month end takes a little bit more time than most. But just to bring up the speed a little bit, a couple dollars throw at you. Revenue for the month in the county clerk's office, approximately $43,000. It's on track to where we are, especially during our slow time in winter. James project, I'll come to in a second. DMV retention, just shy of $50,000 here, for the month, again, our slow time of the year, so, it's still anticipating an increase over, what we anticipated for our revenue line. Numbers in our office, we had over 4,000 transactions that are processed in our office. Our Dreams project is going along just smoothly. We're hoping at this point that we're going to be entering phase 4, the final phase of getting documents out the door in the very near future, within the next month or so. We anticipate that all documents that are getting uploaded to the Dreams project will be on our door by the end of the summer. So we're a little bit ahead of the schedule on that. The next year and 3 months after that will take time for our 2 vendors to do what they have to do to scan the documents and to upload them into our cloud. And then after we'll have our post meeting. Budget wise, we're well under budget. I shouldn't say well under budget. We are under budget at this point. So everything's looking good as far as that project is going.
You're talking under budget for Dreams?
For Dreams,
And that was
yes.
4 years?
That was a 4-year project.
When does it end?
That's going to be the end of 26.
Okay.
So we got about 2 more years. We're halfway through it, but we're ahead of schedule.
And it's spend and claim, so if you don't spend all the money, you don't get it, right? I mean,
Yeah, I would
right.
defer to Lynn on that or Grace because that some of that's.
Okay,
Great.
all right.
Just put in perspective, percentage wise, if you break down the project into 3 different categories. For us, the county, we are 83% through on our side of it, which would be to the project coming to a close as far as getting things out the door by the end of summer. That pretty much be the end of our project besides our post phase that we have to do. As far as eBiz is there, the next phase of the project, they're at 67% completed. They're the ones that actually scan their documents in and get them into the system. So that our last vendor, which is Laserfiche, which is the endpoint, they're at approximately 44% completion on their part. So we're, like I said, we're well on track to have this project completed within a lot of time frame and possibly even maybe. Any questions on that? Through 3 of the 4 offices that you have pretty quickly there, but
I got it.
4,000 transactions was all of your book of business? Or
that's what
just,
traffic in the DMV.
oh, that was just CMV.
I do have a pen. Go ahead, Heidi. Go ahead.
Brian, at this point, all scanning of documents countywide are happening through a contracted service? Because there was discussion at one point where, this is going back couple of years, where there were individuals, I believe, at the district attorney's office who were going to be handling these like on a part-time basis above their hours to do it themselves.
Yeah, so when you talk all county documents, that's a very large scope. When you're talking about like the DA's portion of their project, they decided to scan in a lot of their own documents. So I believe the number was $80,000 that was allotted for them for overtime and so on and so forth, for them to take care of that scope of their project. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
They're working on that. We're trying to work through with the DA's office, the county attorney's office, treasurer. And then some of the other courts that aren't under my responsibility, like surrogate and family. We're working with them to get them, making sure they're keeping up to speed with the project so they can ramp up within the next 2 years.
If I can just add to that, Heidi, I remember, if my mind serves me correctly, when that came to the DA's office, because of the type of documents, they had legal legally only certain people could view those documents. And that's why that arrangement was made back then. I'm fairly certain of that, but obviously the DA would definitely be able to make, 100% fact on that.
Which I wasn't here for that, but it makes total sense in my opinion that they're doing that because it's, the county clerk's not responsible for the DA's files. It makes sense that their staff is handling those.
Madam Chair, I do.
Yep, certainly.
Brian, are we doing passports currently over at the thing?
We are not.
Okay, is that because we don't do them or we can't do them because of the dislocation over there?
So we do have the ability to do them, and I fully intend that once we're in a location that we can take it on, that we will sign up again.
Okay, so we're not doing it because we had to move.
We're not doing it because we had to relocate. We don't have the space for it. Didn't have the equipment for a while. The equipment has been removed from the building at this point, but it's in a safe spot until we're comfortable and confident that the equipment can be used again. And that's not an immediate concern. We need to get to a new location, so we have the space to set that up because there's no way we can do it in our present location.
Okay, I was just checking. I had somebody ask me that. I didn't have an answer.
So as soon as we get to a new location and where we're slowly getting to that point, hoping within the next few months here we are, I anticipate getting back into the passport.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Currently, the post office is the only other place that does it, or?
Auburn Post Office, Ganales Post Office, I think Moravia Post Office.
Oh.
I know at one time Locke was.
If you go on the website,
Mhm.
The state,
Yep.
or I'm sorry, the federal passport agency website, it gives you location within 25 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles, so on and so forth.
Any other questions for Brian?
I have one last thing.
Sure.
On Legislator Strong's request, he asked me to get some information on it following the two caucuses that I attended. I finally finalized that report this afternoon.
Okay.
I emailed it to each of you, so you should each have it in your inbox as we speak. I made copies as well. They're still sitting on the copier back in my office. That's why I'm thinking. So I apologize. I don't
Thank
have a
you for
copy
that.
for you here, but there you have them. Please
Very
reach
good.
out with any questions.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you,
Good evening. I just wanted to share with you just an update on 63 Genesee Street. We are making really good, significant progress in the space. As of right now, the furniture has been ordered for the space, and there's approximately a 5-week lead time on that. All the networking cabling continues to be worked on, but we're in a really good place to finish that up within approximately 3 to 4 weeks. Currently, right now, my IT staff is ready to mobilize on the space to begin unboxing, inventorying, and deploying the IT equipment. And after winter break, which is the week after next, I was able to form a partnership with Cayuga to recruit several students from multiple school districts in the area to help assist us in this space as well. So
And it doesn't get cheaper than free.
that's exactly
Yes.
exactly right. But we're in really good shape there. So
Good idea.
that's really it, other than what's in my report, unless you have any specific questions.
Would you mind?
Yep.
There was, I had sent an email about these departments, quarterly budget update. Again, that's not the end all be all information that we need, but it is a start. And then we got into a further conversation about what is it that we would need to get some type of crystal, whatever type of report that we would need so that we could do a much better job of looking at our budget whenever we have the opportunity or whenever the legislature decides. And
Sure.
if you could just talk about that just a little.
Yeah. So if I go back like over a year and a half ago, we did start to explore looking at a whole ERP solution, which touches on budget, payroll, human resources, and the whole 9 yards. That project is on hold, but the budget component is obviously inclusive of this project. So hearing the budget concerns about the reports was a little bit new to me. So when we did speak today, the first thing I did was I scheduled just a short meeting with Lynn Marinelli. And I just wanted to talk to her a little bit about some of the concerns that, not concerns, but maybe the gaps that we have as far as the reports go. So I think what we can do is leverage a tool in Munis that we already own.
Me is like IT.
Well, so what my role in this,
Yeah.
right, I'm going to serve as the liaison between Tyler Technology, which is Munis,
Okay.
and our budget and finance,
Okay.
right, and any other leadership that wants to be involved. But the goal would be to figure out those gaps. I've already reached out to the city. I've asked them to provide me with some sample reports so we can look at those, right? Then we can sit down and say, is this what we need? Is it, and just kind of determine exactly what the needs are. Then I've already started to schedule a training session with Tyler for the Munis product so that we can start developing these reports and then get them in front of you as soon as we can. So the idea is to look at it from a whole county perspective, but also create reports for each of the departments that we're looking at as well.
So to answer the question, we don't
Yep.
need to purchase anything different. We just need to get manpower in there to create the software or.
That's correct. That's accurate. There'll be probably some training costs, but that's something I can probably absorb in my budget. So,
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, because, we were just talking about that today, that, maybe you weren't totally aware, but there was a lot of conversation last month about why don't we have at our fingertips budget reports? And, so we're defaulting to this until we do.
Yep. And I do know that some of the current reports talking with Lynn are a little clunky, you know what I mean? So anything we can do to kind of put them, in a visual perspective that makes sense to everybody, that's what our goal is. So.
And that's what you were referring to, like
Right.
the city of Auburn.
Right, well, I mean, that, it was, told to me that, the city of Auburn, their legislators or whatever you call them, counselors, every month they get a report. And they know exactly where they are as far as all the different committees. They know where their budget's set, whether they're plus, minus, whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why aren't we getting the same thing? And that was my question. That's why I asked it. And I said, if they're doing it monthly, why are we doing it quarterly? And your explanation makes sense. So, as soon as we can, I mean, obviously in the status that we're in, nobody's at home, we're scattered from here to there. But once we get, back to some sort of normalcy, I'd like to make sure that we're, anytime that we have a
Concern, where is this budget
well,
at?
no, I mean, I think when we have a Ways and Means meeting, there ought to be a piece of, a report sitting here on the table for every legislator to sit and look at and say, oh, okay. I mean, you would have a concern over maybe something that you have concerns over. I might have a different concern at a different department head or something like that. But I would be able to, simply go to it and look at it and understand it,
Mhm.
where that budget sets.
Understood.
Appreciate it.
So we're on it. So first is training, and then we're going to review the reports at the same time, and then get Tyler to help us build something for you guys to look at and let us know.
So even that whole big conglomerate of things you wanted to do, you can't do now, but you can segregate the budget
That's
piece out.
exactly right. Yep.
That's great.
Yep, that's a
Yep.
priority.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that.
Of course, you're not done.
Oh.
I can walk away. I just have something. I need your input on and your contribution. When we got here, we were speaking with a few of DSS employees.
Already asked.
Did you?
Mhm.
Him?
Yep.
Problem solved?
Did you say yes?
No.
Oh, I don't even know what
I'll tell
you're
you.
talking about.
That's all I need to hear. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. In your spare time,
You were
right?
talking.
Yeah.
I get an offline.
Okay, is Kevin on?
I
Kevin
am.
on. See Kevin, hi.
Hi there. So still plugging along with operations as we go, making plans for warmer weather. Piece of good news is we have our new vehicle and it is on the road, and we actually brought a veteran this afternoon who had a tooth issue and a mental health issue tied to the tooth issue out to Syracuse this afternoon, and much more efficient than trying to bring our bus. So that's a great asset that we've got there. Continuing to do activities around the county. We're actually going to be doing next week in the southern part of the county at Dugan's Country Grill, a veteran breakfast on Wednesday. And it's been good. It's been a great outreach in the north and the south, especially. We were doing one here in the Auburn area, but we paused that for a little while. But getting out to see some veterans who aren't here in the central part, we found a few that should be getting benefits that they're not, and that's our whole intent for this whole outreach program. and obviously connecting veterans at our Vietnam veteran lunch. We had 12 Vietnam veterans at Ann's, and we're kind of filling up the place, but a lot of good connections being made, people seeing each other. And that's really what those Dwyer program funds are to be used for, to make those connections and get the veterans connected to benefits. So unless there's any questions, that's my highlights.
Madam Chair. Kevin, not a question, more of a thank you. I reached out to your office about a veteran. You jumped on it, got right back to me with a solution, and I appreciate it. Thank you so very much for taking care of that for me.
Not
And
a
that
problem.
veteran.
Any other questions for Kevin? All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Chantel, you're hanging in there for your one resolution, huh?
I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay, okay. But thanks for joining us.
Yes.
There is one resolution authorizing the execution of a contract with Robus Elections, Inc. for the purchase of e-poll books and amending the 2025 budget. So
Yep.
it appears that this grant came in after the budget was passed, so we need to accept the revenue, and we need to put it in the equipment line so that you
Yes.
can buy the new e-poll books.
Yes.
Okay.
This is what Keith told me, Elaine. He said the grant was accepted in 2024, but was not authorized to contract for purchase, and the line's revenue and expense not carried into the 25 budget.
Yep,
This resolution authorizes the contract with Robus and the lines in 2025.
yep, exactly.
Okay?
Yep,
Okay,
you did a wonderful job.
thank you.
Oh, okay, can I get a motion for GO1?
Move it, Mark.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, passes. Thank you, Chantel.
Thank you.
Chairwoman, I'm not on this committee, but I wanted to take a minute, if you don't have any more, to talk about, something that I prepared a couple notes on today. I would like to respond to the recent article related to the changes in committee structure and legislator DeVito. At the beginning of 2024, there was an effort to move the committee meetings to earlier in the day to benefit department heads, staff, and legislators. We landed on 4 p.m. due to the flexible nature of our jobs, of everyone who's on this legislature, and occupations. We also chose 4 p.m. because we felt it was late enough in the day that if the public wanted to attend the meeting, they can make arrangements as it falls at the end of the typical workday. There's also the option to view the meetings in real time and live stream, or watch a recorded meeting at a later time. Back before COVID, when we scheduled committees, they usually landed around 5:30, or 6. We did not have live streaming or recording capabilities at that time. Historically, committee times are decided by the oversight chair and his or her committee. In the past, if a legislator had to move committee nights due to a shift in changes at work or other obligations, a change was afforded to them. In 2024, it was decided that 4 p.m. worked for everybody on this body. As chair in 2024, I didn't receive one complaint from any legislator or a member of the public that we were in any way inaccessible. So I want to fast forward to today. A legislator has presented with new work obligations and can no longer attend the given meeting time. So this legislator proactively sought to discuss this with the chair, and then the chair suggested removal from the committee, which is an option. And as Jonathan Anna was quoted in the paper and in the article, it was not meant to be a punitive measure. And I'm in no way suggesting that it is punitive. But since both Chairman Anna and Legislator DeVito are both newer legislators, I would like to suggest accommodations be afforded to Legislator DeVito or anyone else who has difficulty attending meetings to sit down with the oversight chairs and committee members and see if you can agree on a time that works for everyone. So in conclusion, I need to say this. To become a headline in the newspaper because you're starting to make arrangements for a change in your availability to attend meetings is entirely unfair. If this is about previous attendance issues, then even the playing field and assess the attendance of the entire legislature. My hope is that this body moves away from all the drama and distractions because this news story is just that, drama, and focus on providing solutions to many of the challenges that we're facing in Cayuga County. So I felt the need to share this with you this evening. Thank you.
And I do, my initial thought when I saw this too was perhaps there was no awareness on the legislator's part to go to that committee chair and say, I wouldn't be available. Is there any way to move the time of the meeting?
Right, I think the chair didn't know either.
Right.
That he could
Right.
offer that as a solution.
Yes.
But I do feel that making this big splashes in the headlines, not only does it, is it unfair to the person that it's implicating, it's unfair to all of us. It's unfair to the public. It's unfair to our staff that work for us. It just demonstrates lack of focus. And we can't be any more less focused than we have been. I'm just hopeful we can move forward.
Just to follow up on that and clarification, I did not know that Legislator DeVito had a conversation with the chairman. But I spoke to her previous and asked her about changing the vice chair because there's times when both Legislator DeVito and myself are not being able to make a meeting. And so that's why I changed the vice chair. It had nothing to do with what's going on with the paper or with, you know, what's going on with the with Legislator DeVito and the chairman. I had a direct conversation with her and we discussed it and she thought it was in the best interest for everybody. Just for clarification on
And
why I
without,
changed.
yep, and without Jonathan being here, I got the impression there was email conversations. I don't even know if there was a true conversation. There was communication by email. So, you know, I can't speak to that. And I can't speak to what the information that was transmitted was. But yes, I agree. It's, you know, it's looking very ugly.
I'll just add, I like the proposition that if the citizen is going to look at attendance of one person and make this a headline, certainly attendance has not been an issue among other of our colleagues, and that can certainly be, I think, acknowledged and researched and looked into as well.
Anything else? Okay, if no other business, I'll get a motion to adjourn.
Move it, Art.
Okay. All right, on to planning.
Stretch your legs. Carried. Thank you. We have a list of appointments there. To review. We'll vote on in the full legislature meeting. The first department update is planning and economic development. Carrie?
Good afternoon.
Hello?
So I have lengthy report for you as always. What I've tried to include where I can this month is for any of our ongoing projects, give you an update on revenues that are coming in or anticipated so that we can help kind of track that throughout the year. Am pleased to announce we have had a couple of small requests from some of our municipalities already this year. We've charged 100% for those. There hasn't been any pushback or issue on those. They're small potatoes, not big things, but we've been fine with being charged for that. We did receive our grant award notifications for both of the CFAs that we submitted last year. So the countywide BOA, the Brownfield Opportunity Area. That is a 24-month project that will get started April 1st. We also received funding for the countywide strategic plan. That's a 36-month project that will also get started April 1st. And that is so that we can incorporate the results of the BOA into the strategic plan. So moving forward on that, I thank you again for authorizing the planner position. That's been advertised for a week and a half, and we've already gotten 3 applications
Great.
approved by civil service and HR. We made a point to let people that are graduating this May know that they can still apply since we can't start them until April or later anyway. So we've gotten a good response so far. So I'm looking forward to doing some interviews soon. Any other questions on the report itself?
I noticed the opportunities you said for the comprehensive plan for the city of Auburn and their interest in if our planning department would answer the RFP
So
to take that on.
Yes, so we are planning to, I mean, they're preparing for a big workload, right?
Yeah.
You know, small staff taking on a lot, but they're excited for the opportunity. So we will be, whenever that RFP is released later this spring, summer, whenever the city's timing is, we'll respond to that. And then obviously we will let you know if we're selected. We'll have to bring forth a resolution to do that contract and do that work. But it's another opportunity for the staff to be involved in that, and that the timing of that work corresponds well with the countywide planning.
And Carrie, it's just like a comprehensive plan you would do for the towns or villages or, yeah.
Same thing.
Yep.
Yeah, so it is just an update for them.
Uh-huh.
So we'll have to look at their scope when they release the RFP and see what everything that they're looking for is, and then we'll respond accordingly from there.
And you would realize that whole 90,000.
If that's, yeah.
I mean,
that's in the contract.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Without seeing the RFP.
you guys
I
are
don't
busy.
know
Yeah, no, I hear you.
what they've allocated for consultant, but yeah.
Okay.
So that's my report, unless there's other questions on the report. Okay, you want to do resolutions now? Or you want to come back to them?
Come back to.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that it? I thought you were going to report on something else. Let's do your resolutions, get them out of the way.
Oh.
I'm sorry. My bad.
Yes, we have 4 resolutions. 3 of them are routine annual resolutions. So the first one is our annual contract with the Community Science Institute. That's for the HABs monitoring program. That will be for fiscal year 2025. That money is already in our budget for water quality management. So that's just doing another 1-year contract.
I'll move that.
I'd like to move 1 and 2
Oh, yeah.
together.
I'll second that bundle.
Okay. Motion and a second on 1 and 2. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carry.
So 3 is not routine. So 3, I know we didn't meet last month, but it was in my report. We have the opportunity to apply for the county infrastructure grant program, which is only available to counties. Handouts for you guys. This is a one-time grant that the state has rolled out through ESD, their Economic Development Agency. The intent of the program is to support the development of housing by funding infrastructure improvements that would then have now that housing program. So we looked at this at the Town Housing Committee. We looked at what's the low hanging fruit, what are some options to support housing development in the county, put some property back on the tax rolls, bring in some tax revenue dollars, some sales tax revenue, and a project that is shovel ready, but has a funding gap for some significant infrastructure improvements, needing water, sewer, roads, you name it. It's a project in the city, Auburn, over by adjacent to Bluefield Manor, done by the developer Park Road LLC, who has done very similar housing projects like this in the past. They recently completed the cancer center at the Auburn Hospital. So you guys might be familiar with some of their work. The handout you see tonight, they provided us with some high-level bullet points on the project, as well as some visuals and examples, and their site plan for the moment. So we're talking about 70 units, townhome style apartments, right, with a bunch of amenities. Their target income level for future residents is 100,000 plus. So we're talking about professionals, young families, et cetera. And this development, this project that we've been working on with the city for some time is in direct response to conversations that the city and our economic development agencies are having with folks like the hospital and Newport and others that are meeting employers, trying to hire more people, or meeting employees, trying to hire more folks, but having to send their people to other adjacent counties and municipalities, find housing that they're looking for. So this is market rate housing, higher end. You can see their estimate rent ranges that they provided. A one bedroom for 1,700 up to 1,800 and so on and so forth. So there is no, this is not subsidized. There's no HUD funding of it, as part of this project at all. Being funded by the developer. There's just a gap due to the extension of the roads and the infrastructure. The important things, I think that's from the county and the legislator's perspective, for this grant, the developer will be reimbursing us for the application fee, $250. Developers also agreed to reimburse 100% my staff time to write the application and submit the application and for meetings and things that we're having. We also found out that we can re-grant this entire award and contract to the city of Auburn, who will then take it over and be responsible for getting the project done, doing all the grant administration and everything. So there won't be any work and cost and anything for the county to do once we receive the for the city. So there's a zero net cost.
There's times when you need them. Right?
But I was thinking of him when I was writing this resolution. We will have a full presentation at the full ledge meeting. The chairs asked for that, so I'll give that. Jenny Haynes, who's here from the city, will be there as well as the developer, so I have a chance to ask everybody as many questions as you want about. Is there anything I can answer right now?
I feel like I would want this to be tabled until we get that presentation, because I just want to invest this a little bit further. So it is county infrastructure money. And I guess when I heard about this, I thought it was happening outside of the city. So I didn't know that it was inside the city, which is not a problem. Right. But I just, there's some details I just.
Sure. Yeah, we looked at what other projects might be shovel ready to go. There is a proposal in Weedsport that's kind of stalled, waiting for NICEAG to provide enough electricity and upgrade that substation for that large project to move forward. Otherwise, that would have been a perfect one to support. And there was nothing else that anyone at the housing committee was aware of that was truly shovel ready, which is what the state wants. I can give you an update that we touched base with our contact at ESD for the infrastructure project because we're supporting more than 10 units. Our max award is $1 million. The max asked completely total is $1 million. We do have the opportunity to have more than one project in our application, but we couldn't ask for more than $1 million. They did confirm with me that they are anticipating a second round of funding later this spring. Not all counties have let them know that they're going to be applying for the April 1st deadline. So there will be funding available. Not going to steal Doug's thunder, but another project that we want to apply for in that round 2 is funding to help support the bridge replacement on Doble Island. So he's got some other opportunities for that too. I won't steal his thunder on that, but.
We do have a deadline of April though, to be able to even, is there been a non-binding letter or anything?
Yes, non-binding letter of intent went in. We
Okay.
received correspondence back that this project checks all their boxes, is eligible to receive an application.
But by tabling it, will you still be able to meet that deadline? Is that correct?
Yeah, because whatever we vote on doesn't really become effective until the full ledge meeting.
And that's where the presentation is going to be, but the resolution won't be there to be voted on if we table it.
We could table it to the full ledge meeting.
But that's an attorney question.
Yeah, I mean, I would,
Don't know that I've ever heard of meeting tabling something.
You could refer to the
Yes.
full ledge. We could refer it to the full ledge.
Preferred, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because
yeah, I mean, if it's going to the,
You don't have a decision on the table right now anyway.
right, okay.
This is just a.
Yeah.
but it's just my opinion. I agree with legislator McNabb Coleman that I think we should see the presentation before we move on any resolutions. That's
And I was just, didn't want to table it to next month for this.
because of the deadline.
You're talking about referring it to the ledge meeting. So it can be acted on and voted on at that point if we decide to do it.
Couple quick questions. This isn't a gated community though, is it?
No. No, their plan, and the developer will talk more about this, and I think it's in the notes.
It's unfair because they should tell us this up in the presentation, but I'm being unfair to you.
No, that's fine. The last bullet point on the handout is that they're being purposeful in the development to make this an integrated or intergenerational mix with Bluefield Manor. They're going to have proposing a dog park and pickleball courts that will be available to everyone, including those folks at Bluefield Manor, that will be dedicated to the city. So their intent is to expand upon an existing neighborhood and development and make a larger neighborhood community.
So the community aspects of this would have to be maintained by the city after it's done.
It's my understanding right now, and I can get clarification from Jenny Haynes, she's here if you'd like, is that just the dog park, pickleball court that they're donating to the city would be under the city's.
These are questions that we should probably ask the developer.
Right.
I'm just, like I said, I'm being unfair to you. I'm sorry.
Anything else I can answer?
Need a motion to refer to the full ledge?
Yeah, she made a motion to table it, but I don't know if I got us,
There wasn't a second,
right?
just take no action.
Well, this will come to the ledge for discussion anyway.
So, Chair, it's his decision, what, who's
Chair.
gonna present.
Yeah, let's,
Unless you want to, I mean, as a committee, do you want to request the chair open up for the presentation of the ledge?
What's the what? I'm sorry, what did you say? Did you-
I'd like to refer to this to the full ledge so we can have all the information at hand.
That makes sense.
Appeal for.
Okay. The last resolution that I have for you tonight, is a typical annual, resolution that we do. It's for the Wasco Watershed Monitoring Program, better known as the BUI. And Dr. Lisa Kleckner is scheduled to give a presentation on the 2024 BUI results at the full ledge meeting on the 27th. But the resolution is to do her contract again for the 2025 program so that we can keep that monitoring and data going.
We'll move PL 4.
Motion for PL 4, do I have a second?
Second.
And with this comes the analysis?
Yes.
Everything?
Yeah,
Okay.
cost analysis, this includes the website again, where we can have all of that information as we did last year.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I have a question. If I
Yeah.
ask a question, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
So I've heard that we're gonna have a presentation at the full edge for this housing project, which I'm going to assume is gonna be somewhat lengthy. And I'm also hearing that we're gonna have a buoy presentation. And that, again, is not gonna be we always say you got 15 minutes and it always turns into 45. In the interest of time, I think there needs to be some consideration for both parties doing their presentations. In fairness, that they get to speak for what they want, but in fairness to us and, whatever, I hate to see full ledge meetings turn into 3-hour work session. I just feel like sometimes we get bottled up with presentations that just make, the evening very long and not 100%, attention or should be attention to, each project or each person that's presented.
Point taken. The vote, PL 4 did pass. And on Legislator Strong's comment, if I recall, the last time we got a presentation on the buoy, it wasn't all that long. And it was very informative. So personally, I'm looking forward to the.
Oh, I am
information,
too. Trust me.
As well as the housing project that,
And I've seen Dr. Kleckner's presentation. We turned it in to Amanda and Sheila already. She's gonna try to keep it to 10 minutes and then save the rest of the time for questions.
excellent.
Because it's hard to get all the legislature to hear something if it's not at the ledge meeting.
Well, I understand it, but
Yep.
I believe it gets kind of out of respect, and your request should go to the chair as the
Don't overload the.
running the meeting.
Yeah.
We'll do our best to keep it short for the housing, but answer any questions you guys have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody? I do have one update that's not in my report, that I want to share, that I learned yesterday, and I think that we all know the looming federal funding challenges that's happening right now. That is part of our legislation that keeps employment and training running. So our grant is federally funded that filters through the state and then goes to the local level and then comes to employment and training through Cayuga, Cortland Workforce Development Area. Yesterday, I learned at a meeting that for this upcoming fiscal year, the state's taking over $11 million cut. We will feel that locally. So really being encouraged to think about how we're going to either bridge that gap, look for alternate funding, additional funding. So that is really going to be a goal focus for me, to look at other revenue to come in, grants to bring in. We do have other grants that we have through our department, but the WEOA funding is definitely our primary source of funding. So fingers crossed that the hurt is not detrimental to our operation. We'll have to be creative in how we spend our money, because it's a big cut. And just as a refresher, I mentioned this before, probably mentioned it a lot. We share our funds with Portland County. Portland County is actually the administrator of our grant. It's up to them how they dole out the money. So the money comes from the feds to the state and then to the local workforce development board, local workforce development area. Portland County then has the privilege, so to speak, to then dole the money out to our county. So I definitely will be seeking your support, because we need to advocate for equitable funds for this county. And the board is definitely, Cortland County makes up a lot of our board, and they have the power to distribute the money as they see fit. So, just want to mention that, something that's kind of, looming for us.
Is your funding at risk starting October, the federal fiscal year, or they won't touch the year's grant till then, or?
Our year starts in July, so July 1. There is money secured for, it's not going to be what we had, but I'm being told that there's money starting in July through, that's fiscal year 25 for us, obviously. After that, the grant really, it needs to be reauthorized at that point, and they're talking about changing legislation from what's called WIOA to ASWA, which is a Stronger Working America. That changes legislation just as it did back in 2014 when it went from WIA to WIOA, and it might say you need to focus your dollars, on these things, but still have dollars. That's all up in the air. We are okay. I use that loosely, starting in July. After that, there's no guarantee. So being mindful that I have to seek out additional grants and, and really the workforce is important, obviously. Can't have economic growth without it. So we'll definitely be continuing to update you as, we move forward, but that's not in my report. So I thought I'd share that.
Good question. Yes. What is your membership looking like for the Cayuga Cortland Workforce Development in terms of your representation here?
Oh, we have poor representation.
Okay, so I was going to say,
to be
because
honest,
whenever we're in those rooms, right, to make these decisions, we want to make sure you have
Yeah.
full support behind you.
Yes.
So,
we have, I'm gonna look at Dan. So Dan's on our Workforce Development Board. Cayuga County membership, 3, maybe out of many.
Who appoints them?
We do, so we do.
It's our fault? I mean, really?
No, it's not.
No, I don't mean it that way, but I mean, we could remedy that.
We absolutely can remedy that. I will say that I brought on, and of course, we're looking at the bylaws, we have to make sure that it has appropriate representation of business versus not, non-business, human resources and business owners. And then, of course, we have our seats for an education seat and a youth seat, things like that. Following that, I did recruit several businesses. They go through the orientation and they bail, right? It's a hard board. It's been an issue for years. We have 4 board meetings a year. It's not a ton, 2 in Cortland and 2 here. We have one in March. It's open to the public and anyone can join us. It's a problem. It really is, but
it seems like an article about that in the newspaper would be really helpful.
Oh, I don't really want that to happen.
I mean, no. Like educating the public, saying, do you want representatives and then to face with this sort of, loss of funding, and we need advocacy at the highest level. So why don't we raise everyone's awareness?
It's tough because we share funds with Cortland.
Yes.
So we're a very different area. We are a larger county. We have different training opportunities, different demographics. I think it's poor placed, but I don't design the local workforce regions or areas. That happens in the Department of Labor level. But I think that I think it's hard when you have a shared county and shared funds to really it's a unique setup, clearly. But you're more than welcome to join the March meeting. It is in Auburn at the Workforce Development Center, March 12th.
What time is that?
March 12th, 8:30.
On the morning.
Yes, in the morning, 8:30 in the morning.
The other 8.
The bylaws indicate an even number of representation from each county, or are there a limited number?
It's more about the type of seat held and not necessarily Cayuga Cortland, because the way it's designed is not Cayuga against Cortland, but it's a local area. So the Cortland members should have our best interest at heart. But in reality, you kind of feel like you're competing for funds, of course, with a shared county. I'm not sure that it doesn't, it says how many.
Doesn't.
So, I mean, we're not.
Say that in the bylaws that it has to be even.
Okay, so that being said, on a brighter note, we finally moved, right? So I've been talking at these meetings since 2020. We're moving, we're going to be moving. Well, we finally did move on the 21st.
I'm super happy about that. Thank you, of course, to Cayuga Community College for their vision, bringing this workforce buildings to, here in this county, in this community. We're closed for one day and business as usual. But again, it's been great so far. Have had businesses come through. It really allows us to have a more collaborative approach in workforce development and business services because we have that side of our business as well. So it's been great. I encourage you all to stop in. Thank you, Aileen and Heidi, Jonathan have been in, and Bob. It's an impressive building. I love it, and it's great. We have a facelift, and we also have all these resources that we didn't really have before. So it's been great.
What's the college's presence there?
Right now, so the college, the workforce development office, not moving process term, they will be moving over. Right now, it's just Cayuga County Department of Labor making up the Career Center, and Cornell Cooperative Extension moved in this past week.
So they'll have a presence to.
They will have a presence. There will be a couple of CCC staff there all the time. And then the building will be used, of course, for different things, different programs, which I won't speak to what they're planning with that, but they will have a presence,
Get people into the college to get trained, or, is that what's in it for the college, or?
So their workforce development department program is part of it. They have the training programs, workforce programs, continuing education enhancement, the community engagement program. So, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we work with them closely now. They're a partner. They were just outside of our door. Now we're just all together. So.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sure.
That's it?
That's it.
No resolutions?
No resolutions. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Good evening, everybody. So just two things I wanted to highlight. One was from was in my January report, but I know we didn't meet in January. But thought it was worth mentioning again. We had one of our 4-Hers, Everett Cox from IRA, was actually featured as part of the State Commissioner on Ag and Markets, State of New York Agriculture speech. Everett did a little video and was incorporated into that, talking about his experiences in 4-H and how that's helped him grown. So I'm hoping actually that he'd be able to deliver that, maybe not this upcoming legislature meeting, but maybe in March, with the presentations you have on there. You did a great job with that. Also wanted to highlight our Dairy in the Classroom program. This is a program that, again, with many of our programs, we leverage your support to go out and seek grant dollars. And we did that through this program. It's offered in several counties across the state, but in January alone, we visited 69 classrooms in the Auburn, Cato, Meridian, and Union Springs school districts and talked to them about dairy products and how that fits into a healthy diet was kind of the focus for this month. And then finally, like Kelly mentioned, we moved to the Workforce Development Center. In a way, it's sort of back home for us. But the building looks really different from when we moved out. But it's a great facility and looking forward to making use of that. Happy to take any questions.
Go ahead, Ben.
Looks like we have a new nutrition educator.
Yep.
And that's a shared position also, correct?
Yeah, so that's, again, that's through our SNAP Ed program, which is federal dollars that flows through the state, but we share that person with Seneca County. They do some programming there as well. It's about a 60-40 split.
So you don't know as of now how if the programming is going to be the same or if it's going to be changing or with the.
Yeah, that's all up in the air.
Speaking of up in the air.
Yeah.
I was doing everything I could. It worked.
Generally speaking, it seems like it's been a little slower. Some of the actions that have been taken at some of the other departments have been a little slower getting to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which is where that funding comes from.
Be interested to see how it goes.
Yes.
Great to see we have a replacement and
Yep.
moving forward. Thank you.
And you said, I want to keep promoting this. Your farm days will be in Union Springs again this year?
Yeah, our 4-H youth fair will be in Union Springs, July 31st through August 2nd.
Okay.
Because your goal was the one that won, is that?
I'll never win that, but just so you know, but I'll still go. I had the one sheep that sold the most money.
Right.
I did have that, but it was a good time and the kids are great. Kids are so great. So thank you, Dan.
Yep.
Just Dan, February board meeting, is that gonna be at the new place or is it?
I'm gonna send out an email about that tomorrow.
Okay, all right.
We're still working through
Gonna make
some
it a
of the.
transition.
Yeah, the transition, we've had a little bit of, we gotta figure out some of those processes. We've also had this is more extension focused. We've had some bumps on our technology and our phone service that we're still working through, so.
Okay, well,
Yep.
thanks.
Yeah, Bill, great. I was happy to be there, so. Okay, I got an email this afternoon, Karen Q apparently is out of town. She submitted her report via email, and I don't see Kyle. So we're gonna go right to Doug.
Good evening, thank you. There's a lot of pages on that report there, so I'm happy to field any questions on it. I do want to highlight two things. One, under the Friends of Emerson, they have engaged a fundraiser consultant, one both with the design company that they had engaged to design the new destination playground, and then another one that they're engaging with just as on their own to start raising funds for the destination playground project. So I just wanted to share that kind of progress with them. Outside of that, there's a number of projects that are underway, not in my report, but two things that I do want to add after having a conversation today with Carrie and with Rich. There are two grant applications that we would like to submit a letter of intents for. One is Environmental Facility Corporation, Environmental Facilities Program. It's for wastewater I&I studies. So we would like to act on CNS's recommendation to look at the sewer system and have it mapped and assessed within the park. So that's a 20% match. That program, I've requested from CNS an actual estimate of what that project would cost, but the initial letters of intent to apply for that are due before our next legislative cycle. They don't require us to put any funding to them, but we do have to send in a letter of intent to say that we would like to apply for this program to get in their queue. So that plus there's another one for the Northern Border Regional Commission. We have actually applied for that before. We actually applied for the bridge project, and that I believe it was 2022. They have awards all the way up to about $2 million for infrastructure projects. So again, there's a pre-application process that's associated with that. It doesn't require funding for it, but it does require us to get in line and basically say, we would like to submit this project, and they say yes or no, and then we would go on at that point with a resolution, with a funding resolution that says this is what we would want. Those matches are also relatively low at 20%. There's some significant, obviously, advantages to taking advantage of both of those programs for projects that we want to do that don't really have current funding, honestly. So those would be the two letter of intents that I know Rich and I appreciate Carrie's support in that when we walked through this. We just were really made aware of them on Monday, so we're trying to make sure that we think we do fit in the programs. We've actually applied for one before. So those two letters would be required. The dates are coming up at the end of this month and the beginning of March. March 7th is the deadline for the MBRC one. So we won't have an opportunity before the next legislative cycle to do that. On advice of Rich, we just need a permission to put in letters of intent. It doesn't require a resolution.
Is that what you're looking for from the committee? Oh,
So basically, it's approval to do those 2 letters of intent to those 2 different programs for those 2 different projects.
I'll make the motion to support that.
Have a second for the letter of,
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? So moved.
Thanks. So sorry, I kind of ran over the committee report. Is there anything in the report that?
I'd like to just make a shout out, I'm not on the committee, but to point number 9 under the Ward O'Hara Ag Museum, and that due to county budget cuts, their friends will be paying fully for all of their programs and activities. And nothing is being canceled. They're going to be continuing their programs completely. No current program cut. Friends of the Ag Museum. Wanted to shout out that generosity.
I also did send out a note that tonight is the American Public Works Association dinner that's over in Canastota. Chairman Anna was going, as well as June Owlett. She's the representative from the Friends of the Sterling Nature Center. Jim D'Angelo was going, as well as some of our engineering partners were going to and accept the award for our regional award for the Sterling Nature Center project from the American Public Works Association. So
we need to step it up.
what's that?
Step it up so you can make it.
No, I don't think the sheriff's going to give me an escort to get there in time. I'm here for the duration.
You have 4 resolutions?
I do. PL 5 is fixing the day of Republic notice for hearing to make repairs to the Emerson Park Pavilion. There's a Emerson Park Repair Reserve. In order to use the funds from that reserve, we have to set a public hearing. So this resolution sets that date.
The motion to put PL 5?
Move it.
Second.
Thank you.
Do you have the dollar amount in those reserves? Or-
Yeah, there's about $67,000 right now in the park. general
That's
park
right.
reserve.
Okay.
And they're both listed in the resolution.
Yes, I'm sorry, they
No,
are.
it's okay.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? PL 5 carries.
PL 7 is authorization and implementation of the parking fee policy for Cayuga County Parks. We did this last year. It basically outlines how when we have large public events for which we have a lot of staff on, those are the events that we charge for parking. Otherwise, daily parking is not something we're currently charging for. And the rate is higher. So the event rate that we charge is $5 per car at any of the large events that involve the majority of the park, July 3rd, car shows, Great Race, those dates. So we charge $5 for parking on those days and not for there. We did actually expand this to include all county facilities in the event that we wanted to do an event somewhere else, like at the Sterling Nature Center, and we were going to do an all-day program. So it used to say Emerson Park, but we did purposely expand the language so that it could be any park facility.
Okay. Motion for PL 7?
Move it.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 7 carries. PL 8.
8 is our seasonal staff hiring resolution. It is relatively unchanged from previous years. It does list the positions, how many there are. It's actually based off a bulk line in our budget. So we fund obviously all the seasonal positions out of one line. We do have flexibility to move positions back and forth. We've been fortunate enough to have lifeguards, things like that in the past couple of years. So we've actually filled all of those positions over the past 2 years, which is great.
Okay.
I'll
Motion
move-
for PL.
I'll move that.
Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 9.
PL 9 is just to enter into contract with True Green. They do some vegetation control around our air handlers and some sections of the park where we're allowed.
Good. Entertain a motion for 9.
Move it.
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Yes, sir.
Doug, just a question. Over where we have our boat slips, I know we moved from one side.
Yeah.
to the other. And I'm assuming the reason that we moved to the other side was to slow down or prevent the traffic onto the park side.
Correct.
Okay. Would there be any consideration of maybe possibly moving like the sheriff's boat, fire boat, back to that side and opening up those other slips that they currently can have, open them up to the public? So that way you'd have a few more slips available for rent. I'm assuming that the sheriff's department don't charge the sheriff.
We do not charge the sheriff's department or other departments. The width of the channel there at our current configuration would probably prevent us from doing that currently because an end-to-end dock, you wouldn't even have enough space to get out. That being said, when we did a small planning exercise for that area, when we moved the docks over, we did actually have the engineers design a frontage dock that would be across from the boat launch. So if you were standing in the boat launch, we did talk about putting a frontage dock along there for the emergency services boat because it's just easier to get out from that. It's just push out and go. That channel is controlled by DOT, so we would have to do a permit for it. We didn't go any farther than just the design exercise, but there is a reason we wouldn't look at that. There'd be a cost either way of adding the docking for that.
Sure.
And the dockage for that. If that was the direction we wanted to go and there were funds available for it too,
I know the spots over there are at a premium.
Yep.
And I was just trying to think of a way to improve or, make
Add
more spaces over there. I mean, obviously we should be looking at every chance we can to, make some money.
Sure.
And I just thought, well, if we just move the emergency services folks.
Yeah.
Back over to the other side, or maybe out around the corner a little more and just open up those spots. For the public.
I will tell you that the feedback we've gotten from them over the past 2 years is that the access to it is much easier.
Oh, yeah.
Because invariably they're going to have a call when we have a large event going on. So it actually makes it easier for them to go.
Yep.
But as far as adding more dockage to that area, I mean, we'd love to add the revenue to it if we could net out the expense.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Yeah. Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.